In the winter of 1949, a priest locked himself inside a hospital room with a 14-year-old boy. Outside the door, nurses listened to heavy furniture smashing against the walls and two entirely different voices screaming at once. And then, abruptly, complete silence. When the door finally opened, the priest's face was completely drained of color. He looked at the medical staff and delivered a strict warning: never repeat the words that boy spoke tonight. Almost immediately, an institutional erasure began. The Catholic Church sealed the case files, and the medical facility incinerated all official hospital records regarding the patient. But the purge missed something. Years later, a single hidden diary surfaced, containing a meticulous timeline of the events leading up to that night. The entries recorded in those pages reframed the incident completely. They describe an event that defies psychological explanation, detailing a timeline where multiple witnesses documented a non-human entity taking control of a child. The timeline starts weeks earlier in a quiet house near the woods of Maryland. The 14-year-old boy, Daniel, lived a highly ordinary, silent life, spending most of his time tinkering with radio frequencies. Looking at photographs of his bedroom, you see the baseline of a normal 1940s childhood. With sports pennants on the wall and scattered toys, there is nothing in this environment to suggest what was about to happen. The anomaly triggered shortly after Daniel's aunt passed away. She recently gave him an old Ouija board, which he began using alone in his room. 3 days after her funeral, distinct scratching sounds started echoing from inside the walls at exactly 3:07 a.m. His parents logically assumed rats had nested behind the wooden panels. The explanation held up right until the night the scratching sound moved directly across the bedroom ceiling, tracing a path like something heavy was crawling above them. That same night, Daniel woke up screaming in bedsheets soaked with a liquid that smelled like rotting meat. When his mother pulled back the covers, she found fresh, bleeding claw marks carved in his chest, spelling out 3 words: "Let me in." The depth and precise lettering of these lacerations broke the bounds of standard self-harm. The family immediately contacted doctors, consulted with psychiatrists and local police, but none of these authorities could offer a medical or forensic explanation for the severe trauma. By the 7th night, the situation escalated rapidly. Daniel, a boy with no classical education, began speaking in fluent Latin. Witnesses reported a severe physical distortion in his throat. His vocal cords produced 2 distinct voices simultaneously, one matching a terrified child, the other a heavy, wet, ancient tone, breathing heavily between syllables. The environmental pressure in the room spiked, light bulbs shattered inward, and in front of multiple witnesses, Daniel's body physically lifted off the mattress, suspended in the air for several seconds. Out of desperation, the family secretly called in Father Raymond, a trained Catholic priest. The moment he crossed the threshold of Daniel's room, the ambient temperature plummeted, and the crucifix in his hand became burning hot to the touch. The priest initiated a standard exorcism rite, but the attempt collapsed almost instantly. The boy's arms bent backward, blood dripped from his nose, and he looked directly at the priest, whispering that his mother had died screaming, a closely guarded fact about her recent death that no one else in the room knew. The catastrophic failure of both modern psychiatry and a seasoned religious authority demonstrated a terrifying reality. Every established institutional safety net had been deployed, and every single one had been powerless to contain the anomaly. Daniel was evacuated to room 19 inside a church-run hospital for continuous observation and isolation. The medical staff quickly became terrified of the room. Nurses documented his eyes turning entirely black. One resigned after finding him suspended upside down from the ceiling. The final recorded exorcism required a team of 3 priests. From the hallway, orderlies listened to animal-like growls and the sound of heavy wooden furniture being smashed to pieces, followed by screams so loud they echoed through the plumbing of the floors below. Then, the violent noise cut to absolute dead silence for nearly a full minute. The stillness was finally broken by a single unearthly scream. "He is here." He didn't say "I." He announced a third party. To the witnesses outside, the distinction was unmistakable. When the hospital staff finally breached the door, they found one priest collapsed from shock and another entirely catatonic. Deep, unnatural gouges stripped the paint and plaster off the walls, and the room was completely destroyed. Before the files were purged, police photographers captured the most disturbing piece of lingering evidence. Carved deep into the thick wood behind the hospital bed were 4 specific words: "I will return soon." Officially, the church cited mass hysteria to the public to prevent panic. Despite sealing the records, they notably refused to issue a formal denial regarding the physical wreckage left behind. This archival data leaves a lingering warning for anyone waking at 3:07 a.m. to scratching sounds. According to the diary of Room 194, these entities bypass physical structures entirely.